Welcome back from lunch. I'm Joni Monroy. I'm Associate Professor in Bilingual Ed, which means hablamos dos idiomas. Okay? I get the pleasure of introducing our next speaker for our next session. And the reason I get to do that is because if Dr. Wheaton did that, it would be nepotism. When you get to work with people on a day-to-day basis, you get to know them and appreciate all the things they bring to their work. Sometimes what you don't get to see is the person who supports them, who adds to their life, who helps them grow outside of work. And today you get to see the person who is the better half of Dr. Wheaton. Will you please welcome Janet Wallace Wheaton. She's going to talk to us about the brain and learning. She's the mom of 2 kids.
2 children.
A son and a daughter.
8 grandchildren.
Woohoo! That alone qualifies you to know something about the brain. So, thank you.
Hey, well, good afternoon. Research says that I only have 10 seconds to catch your attention. So, I'm going to take care of you guys first. Let's see. Okay. You got this. This vanilla, not the best. I couldn't find lemon because that would wake you up. It is after lunch, and I know I'm going to have my job to do here. But this is soothing, relaxing. We'll be talking more about aromas in a little bit. This one here is for me, it's apple. Lowering my blood pressure and keeping me calm. Okay? Well, thank you for being here this afternoon. I am not a presenter. I am an educator by trade. I've been a teacher for more years than I've not been, I guess you could say. I've also been an elementary principal for several years, and I'm now in central office in a small district down the road called Granger. So in our central office, there are only 2 of us that are certificated. Our fabulous superintendent, Margarita Lopez, whose heart is just so with our kids and our families. And I have the pleasure of being the other person that does whatever else needs to be done that has a certificated title after it. So I'm the federal programs director. I do curriculum assessment and had the thrill of taking over I call them my boys, my IT boys. I'm in charge of technology, even though I really only know how it works out in the buildings. They know how to make it work. So we have a great relationship there. What I'm going to be doing today, first of all, I need to let you know that I wasn't the original speaker, hence the nepotism. Okay? How many of you have heard of or read this book called Brain Rules by Dr. John Medina? Okay. This, first of all, what I need from everyone is to make sure you have something to write with. And if I could get, I was expecting about 15 of you, but could I get, Joni, would you mind passing out the handouts for me? I would appreciate that. I think I only have 20, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, Dr. Smart was going to be talking about this book. It's really, please write this down. This guy is fascinating. He's actually a researcher here in Washington State, the Seattle area, but his book is truly, truly fascinating. And these brain rules, he's developed 12 brain rules, which I guess I'm not using my mic, but can you hear me? Can everybody hear me okay? I have my teacher voice on. Can you hear? Yeah, but you're hard of hearing, Kathy, so that's okay. I am going to give you the 10-second summary of this book. Because remember, if I don't catch your attention right away, you might as well forget it. But inside his book, and I'm not going to be able to make this bigger because I'll just mess it up, he says that there are 12 brain rules. Exercise, it boosts brain power. Survival, the human brain evolved. Wiring, every brain is wired differently. Attention, and we don't pay attention to things that are boring. So that's one of my tasks today, is to hope that this is not going to be boring. Short-term memory, his little slogan there is that you have to repeat to remember. And the next one for long-term memory is you have to remember to repeat, because you're not going to get things into your long-term memory by just quickly hearing something once. The only time that I think something like that happens is when it's something catastrophic that it's just, the first time you saw anything about 9/11 or things like that evoke memories for you. But that's different. Sleep. We need sleep to think well. Stressed brains don't learn the same way. I'll be talking about that today. Sensory integration, it's important to stimulate. The more the senses that we stimulate, the better we retain our memories. Vision, and what that is about, if you'll notice, he has little icons down the side. Because what we hear, we're not going to remember nearly as well as what we also can visualize. So that's what this is about. Vision trumps all of our other senses. Gender, he talks about that in the book. Male and female brains are different. And then exploration. We are by nature explorers. We want to know about what's around us. I am not going to talk about Mr. Medina's book today specifically. Instead, I am going to be talking about some practical things that I actually picked up from Dr. Richard Duvall. I had the privilege of going to the National Title I Conference in, let's see, where was that one? Orlando? I can't remember exactly where I was. I got to go to 2 different ones this year. It was very fun. But at any rate, I am basically the apostle today. None of this is mine. I am not a researcher. I'm a teacher by trade, but most importantly, I'm a learner. And if you've not heard anything about this stuff and you feel like you're here, and the goal is to be here, I'm about here. But I think our charge as human beings is to share what's good with each other, and that's all I'm doing with you today. None of this is mine, none of this is new. It's just hopefully maybe some new stuff for you to learn. In sharing this, the presentation that I went to was really geared toward helping students of poverty and what kinds of things we can do. He called it brain safety, his brain campaign. What are some things that actually happen in our brains that we as the teacher, or I would also like to say an employer, a fellow person working with anyone, need to be aware of that can help us with our long-term memory. As a teacher, of course, we want people to remember what we're teaching them, right? Okay. So, like I said, you need something to write with. Did everybody get a handout? I don't think I had enough. Did your table not get any? Awesome. Okay, so before we get to that, I will do a little background with you. I am, like I said, I am not a brain researcher. I'm not a doctor. I don't know too much about anything. But what I did learn about were 2 very important things that you can't see here real well. I'll point them out to you in a second. But the amygdala, shaped like an almond, it's a little piece deep inside our brain. It's this piece right here. Says it regulates the heartbeat and other visceral functions. How many of you have heard of the term fight or flight? It's an automatic thing that happens with us. This is where it gets triggered, is in our amygdala. So if we are stressed, if we are concerned about things, this is the thing that fires. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that today. The other part of the brain that I wanted to point out is called the hippocampus. And it's right here. It's very close. The amygdala is right on top of it. But the hippocampus, if I understand correctly, is the part of our brain that helps us learn. Let's see what I took this right off the internet, Google search. So it's just free there for anybody to look at. But it says this guy is all about memory and a little about learning. Its primary role is in memory formation, classifying information, and long-term memory. Sort of like the RAM in your computer. Okay, so it's that part. So if you are learning something, this is the area that we need to have safe so that it can get to it. So I'm just going to let you know before you get your paperwork here that should your amygdala be firing, your hippocampus can't work. If you are stressed, if you are fearful, if you have any of those things going on with the fight or flight part of your brain, it trumps the learning part of your brain.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Boy, that's tough. I'm 60. Let's see if I can do that again. If the amygdala is firing and is putting out that the whole thing about fear, stress, all of those things that are going on, it trumps the hippocampus. You cannot, we'll get into it a little bit deeper later, but it can't do its job of learning. It shuts down, basically, in very, very layman's terms. Okay? So, I would, for my benefit, really like to know very quickly, if possible, and I'm sorry for this, I should have all had you have placards or something. I really would love to know who I'm talking to. How many of you are students? Perfect, we got the student table. So you're all natural learners, that's what it's about. And again, as a learner, it's your job to share and be teachers. Everybody's a teacher, whether they know it or not. How about this table? What's your profession? What do you do?
Staff here.
Your staff here? You are all staff here. Okay, perfect. How about you?
Nonprofit?
A nonprofit organization, so do you have people that work with you?
It's just me.
Pardon me?
Just me.
Just you, but I bet you have to interact with people, don't you? Okay. And we've got Randy Town. Tell us what you do.
School safety security coordinator.
And so you sort of have to work with some people too, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Every so often. And I think you all had a chance to meet our speaker this morning. What would you say you do? What's your job?
I help people describe their programs, make their programs better, and get money for them.
So you sort of have to work with people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you ever have to learn stuff?
Oh, my yes.
Okay, cool. Joni, how about you? You ever have to learn?
I teach teachers and.
So you already know everything then, right? Is there some learning that...
Do I have to learn all the time?
Okay, how about you gentlemen? What do you do, sir?
I'm a student as well.
Okay, I missed your hand. And you're ignoring me. You don't want to talk to me, right? See, I didn't catch his attention in that first 10 seconds. So he's busy he's reading ahead. That's what he's doing. How about you, ma'am?
I'm a business owner.
Awesome.
And a lifelong student.
Awesome. Perfect, perfect. Students, how about this back table?
Teachers.
Yay, we've got teachers. Of course, I love you. Uh-huh. How about you guys?
Teacher.
Teacher.
Staff here?
Staff.
So you're all educators in some way. Okay, so we've got a cross mix here. So I wanted to make sure that this was relevant to not only educators, teachers, but to the workplace as well. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to pull that off today. Okay, so does everybody have something in front of them yet? Perfect. Okay. So you are going to be active participants in this today because research also shows, okay, I had that 10 seconds. I don't know if it worked or not. I see most of you still awake. Oh, I need to pass these around. Peppermint, you'll know later why. Please take one. And lemon, okay? So we'll just pass these around. Feel free to take one. Okay. You have to be active, because after 10 minutes, where I was going with this is you shut off. So teachers and students, with teachers. Let them know this. After 10 minutes, you're bored, okay? If you can't say it in 10 minutes, you probably need to be done, or at least get your audience engaged in some way. So guess what? You have to be engaged. I always hated these kinds of workshops. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to stand up. But right now, we're going to start by drawing a picture. Okay? So the very first rule of, how did I call this? Let me look at my notes here really quick. 10 ways to promote brain safety at work and in the classroom. The very first thing I want you to draw a picture of is what comes to your mind when you think of structure. The need for structure. So draw yourself a picture. He drew a straight line. I drew a house. A tic-tac-toe grid. Something structured. So draw a picture quickly. You do not have to share this with anyone. But what it needs to do for you is when you look at it again, it needs to trigger in your mind the word structure. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means. We don't know what our students are coming from when they walk in the door at school every day. We do not know what our staff members have gone through the night before or that morning, or the stress that they might have had just even dropping children off at school. Whatever, we don't know that when we walk into the office or into the classroom every day. Which part of the brain is firing if you're stressed? If you're coming to school hungry and all you can think about is the fight that you witnessed last night in your home, which part of the brain is firing? The amygdala or the hippocampus? The amygdala. So you guys can try to remember those two words. And again, they're up here. I'm sorry that it's so small. But those are the only two brain words I want you to take away from today. Amygdala and hippocampus. And really, by probably tomorrow morning, you won't remember those either. What I would hope that you would remember, however, is that there is a very specialized place in your brain that fires off when we're upset. There is a very specialized part of your brain that helps us with our long-term memory. Whether you remember the names really probably isn't going to make or break your life. Right? Okay, everybody have their picture? Everybody has their picture. Okay, I am going to share a picture with you. It's so difficult to then hide all the others, but I will do that anyway. So here were the couple of ones. Oh, look at that. I just gave you my whole speech right there. Okay, so this is number one for me. If I look at that again, the instructor that I heard this from, he had a straight line. To him, that was structure. For me, I thought of a house. But what I'm remembering is the word structure. And what this means for our kids every day is they don't want to come in and have their desk moved. The employee doesn't want to come in and find out that, guess what, they've been moved down the hall. They want to know what's happening. What is the routine for the day? Now, does that mean that things are always going to be the same and there won't be some surprises during the day? Of course not. But as John Medina will say, as you are giving out new learning, it needs to be in small chunks. And then repeated 30 minutes later and another 90 minutes later or whatever to really get it, to have it really stay with you. Probably driving you crazy. Sorry, I'll try to stay still. So structure, extremely important to our kids. And I would say to all of us, we like to know what's going on. Surprises are only kind of cool sometimes, really. Okay? The next area is about basic needs. We all have basic needs. What are some of the very, basic needs that we have just to live? Air, food, water. I'm going to throw in another one, and that is movement. I want you to think about babies, newborns. Anybody not been around a newborn? Good. What do they do? Besides eat, drink, get rid of it, sleep. What are they doing the rest of the time? They're moving. They're moving, and it's how they're wiring their brains. Movement is so important. And as many people, Medina, Duval, will say, is our school systems kind of have it backwards. We want to get everybody all lined up and structured, and then don't move. Don't speak, don't talk, don't move, stay in your seat. Just copy down things that because I'm really smart and I'm going to impart my wisdom to you, so just write it all down and then spit it back 2 weeks from now when I ask you about it again. Anybody been there? Nobody learns like that, right? Anybody expected to learn like that? Anybody been in those classes? If not, then hallelujah, but I find that hard to believe. Okay, so I'm going to make this one easy for you. You can draw whatever you like. But for number 2, for basic needs, you can draw whatever you want. This is a glass of water. It's a basic need. But I would even suggest that you might want to put down that movement is a part of this. Okay, we've been sitting still too long. Turn to your neighbor. I need 1s and 2s. This is really exciting. So you're a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is a real teacher thing to do. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Would you mind just joining them? I know it's a lot to ask. You guys can be 1 and 2. Hi there, what do you do? Huh? You're a 2. But I just wanted to know, we missed out on what you do in life. 2. Okay, awesome. Thank you. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Can you guys be a threesome? And that's so much, so nice. Okay, 1s, tell the 2s. What 2 brain safety moves have we learned about so far? Tell them, 1s, tell the 2s. Okay, time's up. Structure, basic needs. 2s, tell the 1s. What have we learned about so far? Structure, basic needs. See, that was not hard. I am using the principle of what? Repeating. Repeating to remember. Okay, so would you please open your packet? We're going to be using 2 pages here. Really pushing the brain here. But on the inside of your packet, may I use yours for just a moment? I won't share your pictures. Okay. I would like you to turn to this page. Do you see how I'm giving you your notes so you don't have to write them all down today? But you get to write part of them because the act of writing something also will stimulate your memory. But next to number 1, write structure. And number 2, what do you think you're going to write? Basic needs. Look, see how well you've remembered. So we've got structure and we've got basic needs. Okay. Moving on to number 3. Go back to your window panes. The third area I want to talk about is smiling. So draw a smile. Everybody put a smile down on your little window pane, however you want to do that. Smiling is so incredible. So we're going to fill in some things about smiling, and I've given you a lot of it so that you didn't have to write it down. But smiling triggers mirror neurons. Okay? So, M-I-R-R-O-R. If I had left did you have another blank one? Were there any more blank ones?
Yeah, the lady outside has.
Oh, that lady outside. Neurons. See how you do with spelling neurons. N-E-U-R-O-N-S. Okay, the lady is gone. Structure, basic needs, smiling. So number 3 is smiling. Let's learn about it. I will just show you here with my magic thing, okay? See my beautiful writing? Smiling. Smiling triggers mirror neurons. Mirror, like looking in the mirror. Again, I don't expect you to remember anything about this either, other than when you go to work tomorrow, when you greet the next person you see, smile. Look at them and smile. 95% of the time when you smile at someone, what do? They smile back at you. Amazing. Amazing. So let's see, why does that matter? Because smiling is a means of nonverbal communication, but it says more than the words, hello, how are you? They add warmth and feelings to your words. So if you are smiling and looking someone in the eye, non-threateningly, it's pretty hard to look at somebody threateningly in the eye if you're smiling at them, right? So guess what? That's going to turn down the amygdala and open up, thank you, the ability for us to learn. It's going to allow our hippocampus to do what it needs to do. Okay, let's learn some more. Smiling, laughter, they reduce stress. Actually, this is again, do I expect you to remember these things? What do I want you to remember about number 3? Smile, just smile. Remember to smile. That is so important. This is the other stuff that I didn't make you write down. I'm giving it to you. It says they reduce at least 4 of neuroendocrine hormones associated with stress response. Epinephrine, cortisol, dopamine, and growth hormone. Okay? So let's learn about some of that stuff. It says stress causes your body to release cortisol into the bloodstream, which destroys glucose. Again, unless you are going into nursing or something, you don't really need to remember all of that part. Just know that stress causes us to put something into our bloodstream that's not good for us. And the reason it's not good for us is because it eats up the part that is good for us, which is the glucose. And the glucose, it says here, is our brain's only source of food. I didn't know that. I still didn't remember that. That's why I had to look at my notes. Because that doesn't matter to me. I don't have to carry that. Yes?
I'm wondering, does that mean I get to eat a lot of candy?
Absolutely. I'm hoping that those things got passed around because I really am hoping everybody got the peppermint and the lemon. Are they continuing to go? Can we eat them? Oh, absolutely.
No, I was serious though, Janet. How do I get close into my body and help you live?
Glucose, and again, I plead mainly stupidity, but my understanding is glucose is present in many of our foods. Fruit has glucose. I mean, there's natural forms of glucose that don't have to come from processed sugar. Okay? Okay. Another bad thing about glucose, about cortisol, says it negatively impacts the prefrontal cortex of our brain, another important part of learning, and the hippocampus, hippocampus. And both of those areas are areas that control our thinking, our learning, and our memories. A memory that I have that I will put in right now is I was a history major at Central Washington University eons ago. And my memories of those classes are sitting and writing the entire hour. And that came to my mind right now because I'm not really making you write it all down. You just get to write the key words. Isn't that lovely? Okay. Stress. Smiling is a stress reducer. Remember that part. It does something to the bad thing that lets the good thing happen, the amygdala and the hippocampus. It reduces our stress to have someone smile and for us to smile back. It just does. So we don't want to be chronically stressed because it will affect intellectual, emotional, social, and physical development. Okay, back to the babies again. What do they love from like the outset? They love looking at their parents or a person's face, and smiling is, they imitate it. That's when they start to coo back at you and slobber and drool and have a great time. They love looking at a face. And smiling, believe me, they want to see a smile more than a frown. They can tell the difference. Isn't that amazing? But they can. Okay, ones. I want you to say what the number 1 box was. Twos, I want you to say what the number 2 box was. And threes, I want you to say what the ones, I want you to say. So you're going to go back and forth. So the ones will do the odds, and the twos will do the evens. Just remember the first 3 things. What are they? Go. Okay, so we had structure, basic needs, and smiling. You're going to have to join a group, ma'am, because you got to participate if you're going to be in here. Actually, I think there's... Okay, perfect. So you guys are a threesome. Awesome. Okay, moving on. The next one is temperature. So draw a picture that will help you think of temperature. Mm-hmm. For number 4. So I'll show you my little pictures back here. Okay, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you, stories are good. You've got to do that at least every 10 minutes or people will shut down. Got to make sure that you're all still awake. Temperature, the optimum learning temperature is 68 to 72 degrees. How do I know this? Because I was told that. I am not, remember, I'm not the researcher. I'm trusting. But supposedly between 68 and 72 degrees. So here's my story. And this is a school story. There was a 5th grade teacher in a school, great lady. Her 5th graders always got, they had the best test scores every year. They always did way better. What's Kathy doing? What is she doing in her classroom? And she's been teaching for a long time, but she had it down. No matter what, her kids did great. Okay, one year, she hit menopause. And what happens then? We start, you're hot. When you go through menopause, women are very, very warm. You'll be sitting there thinking, what is wrong with that lady? She's sweating and I'm cold. It's probably just that, okay? So what did she do? She had the thermostat set back in her classroom. And it basically was more like 66, 67 degrees the entire year. Her kids were cold. But she wasn't, she couldn't teach her. She needed it cooler. What happened to the test scores? They did. And again, it's back to this. The amygdala is kicking in. It's that self-preservation thing. So if you are too cold, you're concentrating on trying to stay warm. Are you concentrating on learning? No, you can't. Your hippocampus isn't able to do that. If you're too hot, you're going to be thinking about, man, I'm hot. I just want to get cooler. You're not going to be thinking about my words of wisdom up here. So I hope you're all sort of in between there, 68 and 72. All right, so what I wrote down there. Temperature, we learn best between 68 to 72 degrees. You can put it in your own words. Otherwise, the amygdala kicks in again. Okay, next, moving on to colors. Colors affect what's going on in our brain. Okay, so we're going to learn, so on the next page, just for number 5, put colors. But I would like you to draw yourself a picture on the first page in the window panes of something that will help you think of color. Any ideas? Rainbow, perfect. But whatever it is for you, because it's your picture, that you have to look back and then remember what that was. So while we're doing that, twos. Start with number 1. You guys do the odds this time, and the twos do the evens. Go. What are the 5 we've learned? Excellent. Let's see if I can do it. Structure, basic needs, smiling, temperature, and color. Okay. So here we go. Number 5 is colors. Let's talk about blue. The color blue has been shown to increase the ability, higher levels of thinking and concentration. The color blue. Higher levels of thinking and concentration. Green is not on here, but it also does a very similar thing. So you can kind of lump those two together. Another little story while you're writing. Another school example, but for tests, normally what color paper do we give tests on?
White.
White, so white and black. A study has been done where students, and they've taken high, medium, low students and separated them into, heterogeneous groups. Is that how you say it? They were given, everything was the same about the instruction, everything they'd had, but they were given a test, one on white paper and one on blue paper, and it didn't matter what level, whether they were a normally low, medium, or high student. The group of students who took it on the blue paper outperformed those on the white paper. And that just seems like kind of a simple thing to even know that. So blue or green paper, I guess you're going to do better on a test. We need to let them know that in Olympia when they send out those. And when we start going to all online, we probably need to have the backgrounds blue or green. I'm serious. Little things to take away. Okay, purple is a calming color. Pink. It promotes rest. Time for another story, because this is what will help you remember things. The pro basketball world knows this. Okay? So, this seems a little silly to me, but I sort of get it. But supposedly, home teams paint the visiting team's locker room pink. But the other guys know that too, so their general managers or the assistant coaches or whatever, make sure they get there early and do everything they can to cover up the pink walls. Because you don't want your players calm and relaxed before going into competition, right? Okay, so that's pink. It promotes rest. White. Everybody on to there? White is the most disruptive color to our brain. Most disruptive. Hospitals finally figured this out many years ago. Used to be hospitals, everything was white. I don't think you go into too many hospitals now where their walls are white. It's very disruptive to our brain. Okay? Next one, red. And this is what all the teams like to wear. It leads to short-term energy boosts. And I'm actually going to put this up here so you can copy things down. Whoops, I'm doing the wrong thing again. Where'd we go? Colors. Okay, so leads to short-term energy boosts. Sort of like eating a candy. Sugar gives you that immediate quick high and then you boom. But red is an energy booster. Light colors and pastels have the least impact on our brain. Yellow, orange, and coral, I found this interesting. They're stimulating. They're supposed to be really good for physical activity. So like in a gym or something like that, those would be good colors to have there. Stimulate, good for physical activity and for positive moods. Yellow, orange, and coral. Okay. Back to your little chart. Number 6 is noise. Noise affects our brains. okay? And I'm not going to say a whole lot about this. I don't know a whole lot about it, but, and somebody even helped me here. The word ambient. What does ambient mean? Just kind of calming. It's just background. It's okay. Ambient noise puts what you can't see real well, but I'll tell you is ambient noise puts the amygdala to rest and helps wake up the hippocampus. Okay. And I'm sorry I don't have a better definition of ambient for you, but that can be your outside learning when you leave later. I know you're all going to run and look up ambient. I think you have a feeling for it. I'm not very good at defining it. So, if you are trying to say study or work or something, and how many of you guys have had the neighbor, they've got their bass just turned up really loud and that's what comes through? That's kind of annoying after a while. I wouldn't call that ambient. Hard rock kinds of music and those kinds of things, that's going to pump you up if that's what you're into. But if you're trying to learn, it's not the best situation. It's non-ambient noise. Pardon me?
Can you read under ambient?
I can. That means you can't. Okay, ambient puts the amygdala to rest, which is what we're always after with all of these things that I'm talking to you about today. And it helps wake up the hippocampus, the ambient noise. Yeah, and we're going to talk more about music the very next one. Okay, ones, odd numbers, twos, even, go. You're up to 6 now. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Here we go. Okay, moving on. We got 4 to go, and we're going to be done in time. The thrill for me is knowing that as the 12:30 speaker right after lunch, I do not see anybody just totally falling out of their chairs yet. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so next one is music. Yep, number 7 is music, and we're going to learn all about music right here. So on your little thing, draw whatever it is that will help you remember music. A note, treble clef, whatever it is would help you remember music on your picture. Now I've underlined on my copy here instrumental music. It says listening to instrumental music. It can't have words, so there can't be singing in the background. We'll talk about that, why. Played at about 60 beats per minute, can stimulate the parts of the brain that are responsible for memory recall and visual imagery. Okay? So it has to be instrumental. And it's even best if it's not a song, even if it's instrumental, it's best if it isn't one that you know words to, because you'll fill in the words anyway. Why do you think that is? Why am I stressing not having words in it? It's going to stimulate another part of your brain. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was trying to make it bigger.
Oh, okay, perfect. That would be nice. It's going to stimulate another part of your brain that will keep you from freeing up the hippocampus for the learning that's important right then. So you don't want anything to take away from that. So that's why just the instrumental music. And let's look at what this is saying is that you can use different tempos to help reach different kind of classroom, or I would say, workplace objectives. This one, as you can see, was from mine, so it might look a tiny bit different than yours, but 90 to 120 beats per minute is to energize. It's energizing. So upbeat, Dr. Wheaton, played that little hip-hop song to begin with, just try to get everybody awake after lunch. I'm sure that was his reasoning. 60 to 70 beats is best for creativity. So I remember even as a very small child doing art classes with music playing in the background. But this is good. 50 to 60 for learning. The next word is reflection, 40 to 60 beats per minute. And then calming or the de-stressing is that last word, is the 30 to 60. So again, if you're looking for a library of music, make sure you don't know the words to them, okay? It just needs to be instrumental music. Because again, if you're singing along with, I think it's even okay to be humming along to the thing because you're not thinking about it. But if you're starting to formulate words, it just, again, I'm not the brain scientist, but it activates another part of your brain. And we want to just zero in on whatever the learning is that we're focusing on. Okay?
So can I ask, do you recommend then that classrooms, workplaces have music in the background? Instrumental?
Sounds like it.
It does.
Sounds like it. Depends on what you want. If you want to help de-stress, energize, I mean, it just depends. Absolutely. You know, if you want your people to be really relaxed and stuff, go in and paint their offices pink. But if you really want them to be able to focus on their learning and be productive, what color might you think of doing? Blue or green or yellow? It just, yeah, it depends on what there's, absolutely. So hopefully you're seeing some application in your life somewhere here. Okay, 8th one. Go back to your little chart. Draw something that will make you think about lighting. It's important. It's important to learning. And the only things I'm going to tell you about on this is that natural lighting is the very best. So it's best to have windows with natural light coming in. That's going to stimulate your brain's ability to learn the most. There are all other kinds of lighting in between, but the most disruptive, anybody have a guess? Fluorescent. So that's what you get to copy down here. Colleges, schools, they're inexpensive compared to other things, is one of the reasons. Okay, so all I've written up here in my sloppy writing is lighting, natural lighting is best, and I just put windows off there, and that fluorescent lighting is the worst, most disruptive. So think about that. I mean, I don't think too many of us have lots of fluorescent lights in our homes, but they're not the best. And it's good to have windows. Okay, next one. Number 9 is, let me peek. Yes, this one. Everybody get those lemon drops, and this is apple spice. This is vanilla. I really wanted lemon. Now we'll find out why. Okay, the use of aromas can wake up your hippocampus and cool down your amygdala firing. So let's see what they all are. Lavender. Can you smell? I know I just messed up, but can you, in your mind, remember the smell of lavender? Yeah. It reduces stress. Lemon. The reason I was looking for a lemon is it increases your positive moods. You don't want to have to try to give a presentation to people that are negative about even being here. So you guys chose to be here, so that's a good thing. Peppermint can refresh and invigorate. I have known many, many teachers who on testing days, they bring peppermints for their kids to suck on, which is hence the peppermint, whatever Altoids I passed around. Can refresh and invigorate. Apple, this is the one I needed, can relax brainwaves and reduce blood pressure. I've never had blood pressure problems, but getting in front of a group, of course, can raise one's blood pressure. And then the other one that I sprayed around here, vanilla, it relaxes and soothes. Dr. Duvall is from the South, and he told a story about a teacher who because you can buy little kits that have lots of little scents and stuff like that and put them on cotton balls and all that kind of stuff. Well, just from the area, I think it was Louisiana, this gal did that, and she was accused of witchcraft, so she had to get rid of that. So just be aware of your social environments and make sure that that's okay. But I just thought I'd share another story because it was after 10 minutes again. Okay, and last but not least, oh, wait a minute. You guys are going to forget if I don't make you practice. Okay, twos. Start with the odd number. Go. Okay, who can do all 9 without looking? Who can do all 9 without looking? Nobody. I have failed. Okay, look really quick. Now don't look and see if you can say it to yourself. You can say it out loud. Doesn't matter. I always got stuck on 6. I don't know why. I'd get to about 5 and then I was done. Overload. Okay? All right. But here they are. The last one, this is more important, I would think, for educators. But I think, again, if you are in charge of arranging things for your workplace or whatever, the environment is very important. So environmental options are something to be thinking about. People's offices, the way, the more clutter, the harder it is to really be relaxed and concentrate on what you're doing. In a classroom, again, research shows that it's important for kids to talk to each other, to restate what they're learning. It doesn't work as well if you're just lined up in straight rows. So what I have drawn here is groups of 4. Where the desks are facing into one another. You can always turn and look at the teacher when she is giving her not longer than 10 minutes of wisdom. But they need to be able to turn and talk. They've got, we do a lot of the turn and talk, tell your partner, whatever. But this is kind of an optimal way to set up a classroom, is in groups of 4 so that they can see each other and actually communicate. You can do it in pairs, you can do it in 4s. It's just a good way. Being in round tables is helpful, when you're with larger groups like this as well. So just a thought about being, not that there's a right or a wrong way, but you need to be intentional about the way you set things up. I know that there was a lot of intention about the way this room was set up for us today, so that you can view. I mean, you're important. I hope that the fact that they rented linens, they put flowers on the tables, they even gave you candy, that was a nonverbal way of saying, thank you for being here, we value you, we appreciate you. Everything that we do in life, and this is maybe off the subject a little bit, but affects the others around us, either positively or negatively. I'm pretty much done, almost. But I want you to look back at your list. And I want you to choose one that you can take away with you today or in the next week and just easily put into practice. And tell your neighbor. I'm going to push you some more. Choose 3 that are the most impactful to you today. Which 3? Even if you only remember 3 things, I can't expect you to remember all 10. And guess what? As the teacher in me, I'm going to ask you to share what your neighbor said. Okay, so as your ticket out of here, I am going to go to each of you, and you have to tell me one thing that you heard from your neighbor. Okay, not all three of theirs, but one. So I'm going to start right here. You're still waiting to get her answer. I'm going to start right here. Are you ladies ready to give one answer from somebody else?
Yes.
Color.
Color.
Music.
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 Smiling.
Smiling. Smiling. Movement. So a basic need, okay? Pardon? Aromas. Aromas. Environment. Color. Okay, back table over here. You guys, I'm coming to you, so don't fall asleep on me. Something your neighbor said.
What did he say? He said smiling.
Smiling. Colors. Lighting. Smiling. Lighting. Temperature, okay? How about you guys? I know you had to have learned something sitting here today. Smiling, I love it. Colors. Mr. Soundman, how about you? I'll come back. Okay, good. Okay, we're over here now. Aromas. Music. Lighting. Basic needs. Structure. Temperature. Environment. All of it. Okay.
I think clutter compared to your husband's.
But which one? Which one is clutter? Environment, right?
Yeah.
Environment.
I'm concerned
Okay.
about the clutter in my office.
Perfect. Oh, I didn't know you. I've not been in your office.
Well, that's good.
Music. Okay. Mine is smiling. And the only reason I'm saying that is because it's something I know that I have control of 24/7 with me, except for when I'm sleeping. I can't tell you about them. So, but I know it's something I can walk out, I can do right now. It doesn't take me to have to go back and say to my boss, you know, you really need to repaint my office. Okay? Or for me to know that I really need to go back and clean up my office. But while I'm cleaning my office, hopefully I'm going to be smiling. Because anybody that walks into my environment, I own my space, and I'm going to share that with everybody else. What is it? You choose your mood? You do. And I don't care what your day is like. Remember we talked about we don't know what everybody's coming from? But the biggest stress reducer, no matter what awful thing is going on in your life or anybody else's, is the simplest thing we can do. That's what Kathy's doing, smiling. And it will do that even when you don't want to smile. Try it. It releases the right kind of stuff in your body. So I'm hoping that you'll all at least take that part away today. Because you all there is no such thing as an ugly smile. Smiling is awesome. So go and smile. I can't say go and be happy, because I have no control over what's inside of you. But we're talking about leading from the inside out. The very simplest, basic thing that I'm taking away from all of this is that we all have the choice to smile. See, and laughing. Laughing is awesome. Now, this memory for me is the table while Grandpa was saying the prayer out in the other room. The kids' table, we always laughed. Okay? We got that. Okay, thank you so much for being attentive listeners. I love it. What do you mean? I've been there. Okay. And you try to pretend you're coughing. It didn't work. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
I don't think I need a mic.
I didn't use mine.
I don't have a very big voice, but I'll push it hard. How's that?
There you go.
Okay, we're going to take a break. So do what you do on your break and be back here at